I get requests now and then about how to set up my Lite Bite, so I thought I'd make this video to show you all the details and what it entails. So here's a Lite Bite, and one of my favorite rods is the Lamiglas X11. It's 8.5 feet. Very stiff rod, perfect for pulling these Lite Bites. And I added in a Kumo cold water reel. It's a 15 series, the smallest they make. And because I run wire, I also put a twilly tip on right there, so that that wire doesn't wear that rod tip out, and it distributes that stress and pressure from the wire. And you might want to know why I run wire. Well, it's because of the fleas. And you know, from June to the middle of August, the fleas barely even, this is 30-pound wire, mason wire, have really basically no issues. Braid, it clumps up really bad. So let's go to the bench, show you some of the parts and details. Well, here's a slide diver in the package. I use a 30-pound test for my 25-foot leader. It's this big game trilene. That also helps with the fleas, keeping them off. Multi-strand mason camouflage wire. This is 1,000 feet. You can get it at Fish USA. The trilene, you can get this in a smaller spool at Walmart. Pretty inexpensive, big game. And for my final piece, the 7-foot leader Seagar. And this is fluorocarbon. And at Dick's, you get the size 10 Power swivels. And this allows it to pass through your reel. And something to cut it with, a wire, and a couple screwdrivers to adjust your Lite Bite. There's two different size screws on this. And finally the bead, the snap, there's the barrel swivel, and ball bearing sample swivel right there. So those are all my components. First thing I want to show is, here's what the hell they come in the package. And you get this little package of a bead, a barrel swivel, and a spring thing, and some tubing. I don't use the tubing. I don't use the springy thing. I don't use that swivel, and I use a colored bead. So what I do is there's extra of these rubber collars. And what I did, I put it over this, so it's right there, so that's always making contact with that line, rather than try to feed it through there in a line like it's showing the directions. This is already on. You never have to worry about it, except to replace it once a season, because they wear out. So once that's on there, we'll open up the package. This paper removed, and screw this back in. You notice there's a marker here at the top where you set your setting to go out. They go out from 0 to 4, left and right. And what I like to do is, I like to run mine about, I'd say, yeah, right about there, 3 1/3. That's my favorite, because that gives me a 3-to-1 ratio with this 30-pound wire when I go out each side of the boat. So 3 1/3 is probably the setting on a scale of 4, being the most it goes out left or right. And this is on the right side, so that's going to be starboard side. And so that's a great setting. 3 to 1, 150 feet is going to be 50 feet. 180 feet is going to be 60 feet. So those are the two depths I mostly run. So after you got this, you know, set up, you want to adjust coming out of the package. You want to make sure the adjustment is good. You want that pretty sensitive, but not too loose. And you can see that's actually adjusted, but that's the adjustment screw for that. And then the other trigger, the coarse one, snaps in like that. That's the adjustment there. So you want that to pop out, but not too easily. So it's kind of a, you know, you got to get a gut feeling there after you try it a few times, because you don't want it tripping. You know, if it's set too light, that's the big thing, or too. But that adjustment there on the fine trigger is the important to have that just right. And that's a little tight there, so I can loosen that up a little bit. And you don't take much of a turn on the screw. See, now it's too loose, so you can see how easy that is. Doesn't take much of a turn. There. I like that, the way that felt. Okay. So that's ready to put the line through. So now, okay, we start out with a spool, and I put my backing on. You can use 30-pound test works pretty good. So I want to fill about 70% of that capacity of that reel with backing, and that's why I use a 30-pound test, because it doesn't take a lot, and it's an eyeball test. So you get that about 2/3 filled. So after you've filled your reel 2/3 with this Trilene 30-pound big game test, the next thing you have to do is take the barrel swivel, put it in on this end, tie a knot, and tie your wire to the other end. Wire can just be a simple over a square knot twice, and then trim off the tag end with your pliers, cutters. Then you wind on 300 feet of this 30-pound wire, which you've attached to this barrel swivel. And after you've done that, your next thing you want to do is attach another 25 feet of this 30-pound Trilene to another barrel swivel on the other end of the wire. So the reason for this is for the fleas. So that 25 feet now is attached with a second barrel swivel. And you want to feed it through your Lite Bite. So it goes through here, it goes through there, and then straight through the bottom of this stand, and then once again through the end here. I don't know if you can see that. After we feed this 25 feet, we put on the bead. Okay. We tie it to the Sampo barrel swivel. The end that doesn't swivel here, so it goes through here, a knot here. That's when you're going to put your leader on, a 6 or 7 foot leader of this 15-pound fluoro by Seagar, which I like. I get this at Dick's. And on the end of that 6 foot, we put this snap. So that's essentially it. That's how we set up the Lite Bite. Very simple and super easy breezy.